My son came home crying and said cousin slapped me because I was playing with his toy. My uncle let him do it. I just did what I had to do and went to my brother's house. He said I was being dramatic. I got angry and confronted him. And then it was a Tuesday afternoon, and my son came home with a scraped knee, red eyes, and one sentence that flipped my entire world. Cousin slapped me because I was playing with his toy. My uncle let him do it. He said it so simply, like he couldn't even process what had happened. He looked more confused than angry, but there was this quiet hurt in his face, like something had been knocked loose in him that didn't quite fit back into place. I crouched in front of him, asked if it was Tyler, my nephew. He nodded without saying anything else, then wiped his face with his sleeve and went to his room. That's when the heat hit me. Not the kind that makes you shake, the kind that makes everything go crystal clear, like someone wiped your vision clean. I didn't care what had led up to it. I didn't care if there was more to the story. There is no version of reality where an adult shrugs and lets a child slap another, and especially not my child. I grabbed my keys, locked the door behind me, and drove. My brother only lives 8 minutes away, across the bridge near the old train yard. We all grew up in this town, same streets, same beat-up playgrounds, same Thanksgiving table every year. I used to think that meant we had a shared sense of decency. Turns out I was wrong. When I pulled into his driveway, his truck was there, and so was Tyler's bike laid out sideways on the grass. I got out of the car and walked up the porch. He was already outside, sipping some awful cheap beer he always drinks, wearing that lazy smirk he saves for when he thinks he's right. He barely looked at me. You'd think a normal man would stand up and ask if something was wrong. Not him. He said, "You look like you're about to explode. What are you seriously here about that little fight? You're being dramatic, Zaina." I didn't respond. I walked past him straight into his house. Tyler was on the couch, feet up, controller in hand. He glanced up, startled, like he knew something was coming but couldn't figure out what. I asked him what happened. He said I didn't want to share my toy. He kept playing with it, so I slapped him just like that. No guilt, no apology, no fear. That's when I turned to my brother and asked him flat out if that was true, if he really stood there and let it happen. He shrugged and said, "They're kids. They fight. It builds character. You baby your son too much. That's the problem." That was the moment something in me snapped. I don't even remember stepping forward. Just the sound, a sharp crack, my hand against his cheek. The beer can hit the porch. He stood up, stumbled a little, probably more from shock than anything else. Tyler disappeared up the stairs like smoke. I didn't back down. I told him exactly what I thought, that this wasn't about boys fighting. This was about him, about how he's always resented the fact that my son is doing better than his. That my son wins spelling bees while his gets suspended for throwing pencils, that my son actually talks to adults while his mutters through gritted teeth. I told him this wasn't over, not by a long shot, and I meant it because what he didn't know was how much I'd been helping him behind the scenes, paying off his late phone bill last year, fixing his son's busted laptop for school, dropping off groceries without saying a word. That all stops now. The slap was just the start. I didn't sleep that night. I kept checking on my son, watching him breathe, wondering what else he hadn't told me. In the morning, he acted like nothing happened. Ate cereal, asked about his science project, even reminded me that his class was going to the planetarium next week. I played along, but every time I looked at him, all I could see was the faint outline of a handprint on his cheek. It was mostly gone, but I knew what I saw. I wasn't imagining it. Around noon, I got a message from my sister-in-law, not my brother, his wife. She said she heard what happened. Said it was blown out of proportion, said kids will be kids, and that I shouldn't have laid hands on her husband in front of their child. That was rich. I asked if she thought it was normal for a kid to hit another and face no consequence. She said Tyler was disciplined. I asked what that meant. She stopped replying. I didn't tell her I knew they didn't even take Tyler's game away. My niece, their older daughter, told me over text that night. She said Tyler thought it was funny that his dad got slapped and that nothing happened to him. That was when I made the decision. No more help, no more silent support. I went through my phone and found all the payment receipts, groceries, the electric bill from back in October. That time I bailed them out when their landlord threatened to raise rent if the pipes weren't fixed. I added it up. The total was over $2,300 in just the last year. I didn't say a word to them. I just screenshotted everything and sent it to my brother. Then I wrote, "You're officially cut off. From now on, raise your son without my help, and good luck doing it with your pride alone." He read it. Didn't reply. Later that evening, my mom called. She asked what was going on. My brother had told her I stormed into his house and attacked him in front of his kid. That was his version. I told her mine told her everything. What my son said, what Tyler said, what my brother said. There was silence. Then she sighed. You know how your brother lives. He's got a big ego, but don't blow up the family over this. Just let it go. That was the moment I realized it wasn't just him. They had all gotten too comfortable with me being the one who absorbed the damage, smoothed things over, kept the peace. They wanted me to take it, stay quiet, and move on. But I wasn't doing that anymore. I told her I'm done letting things go. This time the line was crossed, and you can either understand that or you can sit next to him while he burns everything down. She didn't call again that week. By Friday, word had spread. One of my cousins texted to ask if it was true that I'd cut off my own brother over some toy drama. I told him it was deeper than that. I told him it was about respect. He never replied, but something shifted. For the first time, my brother was on his own, and I wasn't done. I thought silence would be the end of it. But silence can have sharp edges, and when someone like my brother goes quiet, it usually means he's planning something. I expected him to show up, maybe yell, maybe send one of his dramatic texts about how family is everything. But days went by, and there was nothing. He didn't call. He didn't try to see my son. Not even a fake apology. Instead, he started running his mouth. Word got back to me through a cousin Jamie who works at the auto shop where my brother gets his oil changed. Apparently, he was telling people I'd slapped him because I was jealous of his parenting. Said I was obsessed with my son being perfect and that I was raising a fragile little prince who wouldn't last 2 minutes in the real world. The real world. My kid came home with a red cheek and didn't even cry about it. He told me what happened and went to his room to finish homework. That's more maturity than I've ever seen from my brother. But I didn't react, not yet. Instead, something unexpected happened. That Sunday, I took my son to the farmer's market. Just a normal errand day. Apples, fresh bread, whatever he picked. We were at a local stand picking peaches when this woman, maybe mid-30s, tapped me on the shoulder. She asked if I was Zaina. She introduced herself as Angela and said she used to know my brother. Her son went to summer camp with Tyler 2 years ago. Then just like that, she said, I think he still owes me $400. Borrowed it when his car broke down. Never paid it back. Blocked me after 3 weeks. I stood there staring at her like I'd been slapped this time. She smiled like she was sorry and added, I'm not trying to cause drama. Just figured if you cut him off, maybe I'm not the only one who should have done it sooner. I thanked her. We talked for a few minutes. She told me a few more things. Some I already suspected, others I didn't. Like the fact that he borrowed money from a few other parents that summer too. Always the same line. Always just until Friday. That night when my son went to bed, I pulled out my laptop. I started going through my texts. Bank transfers, PayPal history, every loan, every late night grocery run, every emergency Venmo I'd sent when he said the power might get shut off. $2,300 in just the last year. Over $4,000 if I went back 2 years. I didn't even know I had helped him that much. I'd never really counted. So I took screenshots of everything and sent them to him in a single message. I wrote, This is the last dollar you'll ever get from me. You should be embarrassed. I'm done carrying you. He saw it, never replied. The next day, my sister-in-law sent a single word. Seriously. That made me laugh. I didn't respond, but I did post one thing on Facebook. Short and sharp. If you've ever lent my brother money and never got it back, you're not alone. It was barely 10 words, but apparently that's all it took. Over the next 24 hours, I got messages, some from people I barely remembered. A girl he used to work with. A guy from high school who said my brother still owed him for a used fridge. Even our cousin Dean messaged me to say he was still waiting on $500 from a bet they made at Christmas. I wasn't trying to shame him. I was connecting dots. He wasn't just a jerk to my kid. He was a walking taker, a user. And the best part? While all this was swirling around him, he had no clue how many people were finally seeing him for what he was. Then out of nowhere, he texted me, You done throwing tantrums, or do I need to get legal involved? That was cute. I didn't answer. Instead, I took all the receipts, bank transfers, and messages, printed them, stapled them neatly, and mailed them to his house in a plain envelope. No return address, no note, just the facts. Then I started planning something else. Thanksgiving. Because this year I was hosting. And I was going to make sure the whole family saw exactly who he was. I spent the next few weeks acting like everything was normal. School drop-offs, work, grocery runs, making chili on cold nights. But beneath all of it, there was a slow burn. Not rage anymore. Precision. Thanksgiving was always a big deal in our family. We took turns hosting. This year it was mine. I didn't cancel it. I didn't downsize it. I leaned into it, sent out the invites, made the group text, even asked people to bring dishes like usual. My brother and his family were included. Some people thought I was insane, but they didn't understand. I wasn't avoiding the fire. I was building the fireplace. My son asked if he had to go. I told him yes, but only because he deserved to see what respect looked like. Not just for himself, but toward him. So I cooked, decorated, set the table with my grandmother's china, cleaned the silverware, made the house glow. And then the guests arrived. Cousins, uncles, old aunts who always bring Tupperware to take leftovers. Everyone came, including him. My brother walked in like nothing ever happened. Tyler followed behind, dressed up for once, not a scowl in sight. My sister-in-law said hello like she hadn't sent me a passive-aggressive text 3 weeks ago. They brought a sad-looking pie. Store-bought. No effort. Whatever. We made it through the meal. Barely. Tension thick enough to spread on toast. You could feel it. People whispering in corners, avoiding eye contact. And then somewhere between dessert and everyone getting their coats, it happened. My brother cleared his throat. He stood up and tapped a spoon on his glass. Everyone got quiet. He looked straight at me, then turned to the room. I just want to say something real quick, he started. I braced myself. I thought he was going to make some dumb joke, maybe try to save face, or worse, blame me. But then he looked at my son, and what he said next I did not see coming. I messed up, he said. A few weeks ago I let something happen that I shouldn't have. I didn't protect my nephew. I didn't teach my son right. I was wrong, all the way wrong, and I'm sorry. The room was dead silent. Tyler stood next to him, fidgeting. Then he mumbled something too. Barely loud enough, but it was there. Sorry I hit you. I shouldn't have done that. I didn't say anything. I looked at my son. He nodded just once. That was enough. And then something even stranger happened. People clapped. Not a standing ovation, just a soft ripple, a release. Maybe relief, maybe approval, maybe both. My brother looked back at me. He didn't ask for forgiveness. He didn't make excuses. For once, he just shut up and sat down. After a minute, I stood too. I thanked everyone for coming, told them the last slice of pumpkin pie was up for grabs. People laughed. But under the laughter, there was something else, a shift. The balance had finally changed. And not because he apologized, but because he had to. The apology at Thanksgiving wasn't just for show. I could feel that. But here's the thing. Real peace doesn't show up with a few sorries and a plate of pie. It has to be built brick by brick. And for the first few days after the dinner, I didn't know if I even wanted to start building. I kept thinking about the look on my son's face when Tyler apologized. It wasn't anger. It wasn't satisfaction. It was something quieter. Maybe confusion. Like he didn't expect that kind of thing to ever happen in real life. And that bothered me. It told me that somewhere along the way, my son had started believing grown-ups didn't own up to anything. That they could hurt you and just walk off like nothing happened. That silence was the best you'd get. That's what I had to change first. 3 days after Thanksgiving, my brother called. His name flashed on my phone, and I let it sit for 2 rings before picking up. He said he wasn't calling to rehash anything. He just asked if he could stop by alone. I didn't say much, just told him to come by after work. Front porch only. He showed up that evening with nothing in his hands. No drink, no food, no peace offering. He just sat on the edge of the step like he used to when we were kids, sneaking out late, hoping not to wake Mom. He didn't waste time. He said he'd read everything in the envelope I sent, every dollar I'd covered, every time I'd bailed him out. Said he'd been thinking a lot since Thanksgiving. And for once, he didn't deflect. He told me something I didn't expect. I was embarrassed, he said, but not because you slapped me. I was embarrassed because for the first time, I had to see myself through other people's eyes. That hit different. He said he finally realized he wasn't just failing himself. He was teaching Tyler how to become the same kind of man. And that scared him. Then he pulled something from his jacket. It wasn't for the full amount, not even close. But it was something. A start. He handed it to me and said, I don't expect this to fix everything. I just want you to know I'm serious. I'm done acting like this is your job to fix. I didn't know what to say, so I didn't say anything. But after he left, I walked inside and stuck the check on the fridge with a magnet right where my son could see it. Right next to the art project he brought home from school that said, do the right thing in big block letters. I wanted him to see that even adults, especially adults, can try to make things right. A couple days later, my son asked me if things were better now. I told him not better yet, but maybe getting there. And that's the truth. We're not healed, not even halfway. But something's changed. My brother still has a long way to go, and I'm not promising him anything. But I know one thing. The next time someone tries to hurt my son, they'll know there's a line. And we don't cross it quietly anymore. I didn't expect much from Christmas. After everything that had happened, I figured we'd keep it small this year. Maybe just me, my son, and a quiet day at home. But my mom called mid-December and asked if we could all do something together. One dinner, no drama, just peace. I hesitated. She said my brother had been trying, that he'd asked her what he could bring to make things easier, that he wanted to help cook, clean, even decorate. I almost laughed. Not because I didn't believe her, but because I never thought I'd hear those words about him. So I said yes. But I warned her, he messes this up even once and we're done for real. She said she understood. So we hosted again. Same house, same long table. But this time it felt different. Lighter somehow. Maybe it was the candles, maybe the music, maybe just everyone holding their breath in case things went sideways again. My brother showed up early. First time ever. Brought 2 pies, a salad no one asked for. Even helped my cousin carry in the big roast from the car. He didn't act fake. He didn't try too hard. He just stayed quiet, helped where he could, and when it was time to eat, he sat beside my son. No one forced it. No one even suggested it. He just took the chair and said, "Mind if I sit here?" My son looked at me. I gave the smallest nod. They talked about school. Tyler joined in later and said he was trying out for track in the spring. My son told him about the robotics team. There was no awkwardness. Just 2 kids who had clearly been told this matters. And 2 adults finally doing the same. Then right as people were finishing dessert, my brother stood up. But this time he didn't tap a glass. He didn't ask for attention. He just raised his voice a little and said, "Before we all leave, I want to say one last thing, especially to my nephew." The room got quiet. Not tense like before, just still. He turned to my son and said, "You didn't deserve what happened. Not from Tyler, not from me. I should have stepped in. I didn't, and I know I let you down. But I see now. I respect you. And I'm proud to be your uncle, if you'll still let me be one." Then Tyler stood up too. He looked at his dad, then at my son, and with his hands in his pockets, he said something I honestly didn't expect from a kid his age. "You're smarter than me. You're faster. But I want to learn. Maybe you can show me some stuff sometime." My son nodded, not with a smile, not for the crowd, just a real simple nod like he understood what that took. And that was it. There was no clapping this time, no dramatic exit. People just went back to eating, laughing, living. But I saw what had shifted. The story wasn't about the slap anymore. It wasn't even about revenge. It was about what you do after the damage, whether you build something new or leave the rubble behind. This time we built something. And for the first time in a long time, it felt like family.